An entire generation just stopped buying games. I don't think it's just one generation. I think it's multiple generations really just aren't buying games right now. Just like anymore, at least. They might get back to it. Who knows if the economy gets better. But with the whole not being able to own your games thing, that doesn't help. Everything being digital, that doesn't help. People like to have physical things because a lot of people don't like to just be connected to the internet constantly. I know a lot of people that just don't want to use the internet, especially for games. They'll just play old games. They don't care about the new games. They're all the same anyway. I'm not saying that. That's like literally what a bunch of people that I know think about new video games, which is kind of true. If you're just a casual gamer, you play games every once in a while, you pick up like any Ubisoft game, they're all going to be the same, just with a different skin. You know, it's just like they're all open world, or they're all action RPGs, or they're all hero shooters. It's like everybody's just got a genre and they're sticking to it. There's no interesting games coming out anymore.
Imagine everybody telling you how useless you are while still demanding that you buy their stuff.
Yeah.
You know, 5 years ago, they said that $70
Yep. Fucking Assassin's Creed Shadows
was the new normal. Now they're...
Everybody was telling me that I was an idiot, that Assassin's Creed Shadows is great, and all I was saying was like, this doesn't look good enough for me to buy, and they were like, fuck you! You're a monster! I'm like, alright, man, fuck. I was just saying I don't want this game.
They're eyeing $80 games. Microtransactions have infested everything. Mobile gaming's gone nuclear. These guys have brought in billions of dollars off the back of our spending and then poured 2 to 3 times as much into absolute garbage. And after all of that, an entire generation...
Yeah, is anybody even playing mobile games anymore? I used to see a lot of people playing mobile games, and I don't know anybody who's still doing it.
Just stop buying games. We're about to watch the games industry bottom out and lose the back end. Years of financial pressure shoved onto players.
Yeah, these $500 million plus games, no, they ain't gonna be able to survive, man. They can't do that anymore.
Games being torn apart and sold back to us piece by piece, all to keep their shareholders happy, all about to flip. And it's not because of some new trend or protest. It's because Gen Z isn't buying. And not out of choice. They've just been priced out of the hobby entirely. Locked out of an economy. Handed debt instead of jobs. And scam after scam ever since they became adults. You know, every time that I've ever...
Yeah, and older people that, you know, were playing games in the 90s and 2000s. The games were just better back then. The access to games was better. The gaming culture was better. And they've just checked out of it. I've checked out of it. My roommate's checked out of it. My brother's checked out of it. All of my friends have checked out of it. My roommate's family, his entire family, they all play games. They all love movies and books and media. But they're out of the new stuff. They don't even buy the old stuff. They just get like a bundle thing on Amazon that's got all the games.
Talked about any of these video game industry issues, whether that's spending, pricing, or anything else, it's always been that it's not that these guys can't do any of this stuff. It's just that they're too damn aggressive. They're moving way too fast. They're asking for way too much, and they're outpacing their own customers to the point that they're lapping us. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about why younger players are spending a fraction of what their older counterparts are, and why that number just dropped even further. We're also going to be digging into how this industry has been burning through its audience faster than it can replace them, and why this might be the moment that it all falls apart.
Good.
You know, I thought we had it bad. These kids are cooked. I feel like I've been sounding the alarms for the better part of a year now, pointing out every crack in the hull before the ship hits the rocks. Hell, Activision is out here channeling their inner Titanic by openly stating that they think Call of Duty is, quote, too big to fail, while apparently completely unaware of the generational iceberg every publisher is about to slam into. Now, before we get too deep into the why, let's start talking about...
I think AOL thought that they would never fall apart either.
What's actually happening. In an article from PC Gamer...
Also, THQ, if we want to just go straight back into gaming. AOL is not really a gaming company. But THQ, they never thought that they'd fail. Look at them now. You can't.
Written by Stevie Bonifield, titled, New Study Shows Gen Z is spending way less on video games than older gamers.
Yeah, I can guarantee you they're not buying microtransactions as much either.
Young people can't even afford gaming anymore.
Yep.
They write young people are so strapped for cash right now that even video games are too expensive for them. A June study by Circana, first reported by the Wall Street Journal, found that spending among 18 to 24-year-olds dropped by 13% from January to April 2025 compared to last year. Video game purchases were hit particularly hard, falling
That's a big percentage in a small amount of time.
nearly 25%, according to a chart Circana's Matt Piscatella shared on Blue Sky. For context, Piscatella shared another chart comparing the drop in spending among Gen Z to spending changes in older generations. The difference is dramatic. Where older generations spending dropped less than 5%, Gen Z's is plummeting. It's particularly surprising to see such a sharp drop in spending on video games, which historically cater to young people. Now, to reference Matt Piscatella's post directly, video game spend among 16 to 24s is down sharply. Young grads are having a much tougher time finding jobs. Student loan payments are restarting for millions of borrowers. Credit card delinquency rates have risen to their highest points since before the pandemic. Overall, purchasing by 18 to 24s has plummeted, especially when compared to other age groups. Now, that's already bleak, but here's where it gets critical for the games industry. Back in March, a separate...
Let me tell you something. They're still playing games. They're just not buying them. They just have games that they play for long periods of time. And they buy games for that reason. They'll buy games like Minecraft because they'll be like, this game doesn't end and I can play it forever. I'll always have something to play, something to do.
Study showed that Gen Z and Gen A already make up 28% of all gamers. Millennials just falling right behind them at 26%. The difference between the two of them is that only 18% of millennials reportedly spent nothing on games, while more than double that number of Gen Z gamers spent nothing at all. And when they do spend, it's less across the board, just 35%.
Dude, I haven't spent like a significant amount of money on games in years. The last purchase I made was $20 and I got like 12 games, or was it $30? I got like 12 games, 16 games, something like that.
Of Gen Z average more than $10.
And before that, it was Baldur's Gate 3 and Resident Evil 4. That was the last things that I paid money for.
A month on microtransactions compared to 50% of millennials. And remember, all this data came out before the latest spending drop, which means that right now, younger generations are probably spending less than half of what their older counterparts do.
And let me tell you, it's going to get worse. I say it in literally every video about any topic. It's going to get worse. It always does. There are very rare instances where it doesn't get worse and it actually gets better. But that never happens, man. So far, it literally hasn't happened.
Now, we add this to the fact that older generations are aging out of the hobby, playing less, sticking to older games that were aimed at them, spending less money, and you have a spending collapse that is going to pull the rug right out from underneath the industry. And I do not see this getting better because...
Yeah, and the only way they're going to win is if they actually make good games. Can't believe we're getting to this point. We've been warning them. We said it was going to happen. Eventually, people are going to get tired of it because they keep inching forward. We gave them an inch. They took 10,000 miles.
Nothing about the conditions for younger generations is going to improve anytime soon. I mean, I know it's practically a generational tradition now for each one to call the next one the problem, too lazy, too soft, unmotivated, doing something that the older crowd doesn't like. I'm a millennial. I heard it all. We lack work ethic. We were technology obsessed. We didn't respect authority. We weren't loyal to our employers. We were entitled, narcissistic, which I always found hilarious considering that those traits supposedly would be coming from the people that raised and educated us. It's basically just them criticizing their own work, but at least we could escape it. We had the internet at the time, which still felt like our own. Gen Z doesn't. They live under a constant torrent of criticism for things entirely outside of their control.
Take bets, take odds. Which one of these guys lives at home right now?
Oh, the stay-at-home son. This shit's bullshit.
At age.
I think most men with even an ounce of testosterone would find this a touch demeaning.
We have to bring back shame in this country, Josh.
We do.
Like, it's crazy to me. Like, you would have to water.
I disagree with this so much. I think that families should stick together and live together. I don't know. Like, am I weird for that? Like, I think the parents should be living with the child. I think the child lives with the parents until the parents are too old to actually do things for themselves, and then the parents live with the child. It's like the roles flip. Like, that's what happened to me. I'm not currently living with my grandmother. I wish I was. Unfortunately, we cannot do that in our current situation, even though we both would like that very much. But I lived with her. and we lost our house, and we had to go our separate ways, and it was rough.
Board me like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed to get me to admit that I'm a stay-at-home son.
But I'll tell you this, leave it to Gen Z to rebrand laziness and social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. But there are a lot of young men,
Says the rich people that are on the TV.
out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash.
That sounds like a fucking dream to me.
And therein lies a big part of the problem.
I'm going to crash out. They need to put me on the news. How can you blame them? We've seen nothing but headlines.
I would not mind to live in my mama's basement. Well, not my mama's, my grandma's basement if she had one. I would not live with my mama because she's fucking insane. Literally, she is. She has a psychotic episode like twice a month that lasts a week long. So she's like on 2 weeks, off 2 weeks in reality, you know?
Lines of companies switching to AI and automation. Microsoft just laid off 9,000 people at Xbox to build AI infrastructure. Fast food joints are running with skeleton crews and robots. Kids are graduating from college to find their entry.
For now. The only reason these companies are allowed to do this is because there are people. If there are no people to give them money, they won't have the money to build the robots. And they'll have to hire people.
Entry-level jobs don't even exist anymore or somehow now require 5 years of experience. Their degree, which was told to them was their one ticket in life, is now useless. They are
Yep. Been saying it since I was a kid. I was like, the way things are going, degrees aren't going to mean anything. Like, and they already don't unless you're like going to be a doctor or something. If you're just a regular person trying to get a regular job, you don't need a degree. If you're trying to get a high-skilled job as a regular person and you're highly skilled, then you don't need a degree anyway, because they'll see that you're actually talented and they'll be like, well, I guess the degree is kind of meaningless here. We'll hire you anyway. Like, if you're a programmer or something, you don't need a fucking degree. You don't need certification.
Battle with debt. They're being spawn camped by college costs, DoorDash, and buy now, pay later scams because they can't afford to buy anything outright. They've been scalped, Dropbox, pulled into pyramid schemes, conned into gambling on crypto, and spammed with sports ads at every given turn. They're careening towards a future with no real hope or relief, and the best thing that society can give them is a mix of finger-waving Karens and some pull yourself up by your bootstrap Andes that are lecturing them for not wanting to swim in the pool that they just pissed in. These are the dipshits that are running the world right now, and it's fucking embarrassing. I feel for you younger generations because they pulled the exact same shit on us. Back in the early to mid-2000s, they camped us in high school, shoved us towards college, funneling kids into for-profit schools with unaccredited degrees.
Dude, my high school was literally basing everything off of all of us going to college. And you know how many of us went to college? Almost none of us. Almost none of us in my small town of, with my class of 90 kids. Almost nobody went to college. And out of the ones who did, almost nobody graduated college. And you know what most of them are doing? Same thing that everybody else is doing.
Jacked up tuitions and fake job placement stats, all to manufacture hundreds of billions of dollars in debt. And then when it was all exposed as a scam, well, we were still labeled as the entitled ones in the workforce. It is wild to me that this is still the message that older generations want to push. Shame younger workers, demotivate them further instead of actually doing something useful. Things like bringing back vocational training, teaching real financial literacy in high school, or telling young men that they can make serious money as operators, electricians.
But if you teach them financial stuff in high school, then they would realize that what they're wasting their money on is stupid, and the evil people who run everything will be making less money. They'll learn how to actually spend their money correctly. That means that they will keep it. But we want that money. Us, Vanguard, BlackRock, we want that money.
Pipe fitters, boiler makers, or in a dozen other trades where they can meet coworkers that will become like family, easing both their financial and their social burdens. But no, keeping them financially disadvantaged is a lot more profitable for these guys. That's why I don't see things improving.
We're a family here. You all do good this week, and I'll do something special for you. Throw a pizza party. There you go. Oh, you want a raise? How about 2 pizza parties?
Not for younger generations, and definitely not for the games industry. If you can't afford rent, you're not dropping $70 on a new game release or $20 on a Fortnite skin. You're thinking about the next meal. You're playing games for free if you even have time to play, or you're just finding cheaper hobbies altogether. So my question is, where's the relief supposed to come from an industry that's already outpricing its current user base when the next wave of customers can't even afford to walk in the door? Console prices are already north of $500. Games are being pushed at $80. Microtransaction bundles are just about the exact
$80. I love how everybody's talking about games are being pushed at $80. It's actually $80 plus tax. Plus tax, so it'd be like almost $90. Also, it's not the whole game. You're not including the DLC, you're not including microtransactions, you're not including the battle pass that are all in these. It used to be in the free to play games. And we were like, okay, I don't like it, but sure, if it's gonna prop up these free to play games. But now all the free to play stuff is in the $90 games.
Same price. Last year, we saw almost 19,000 games release, and nearly 150 of them were AAA and AA. Split that in half and average it out to $30 million for AA and $150 million for AAA, and you're looking at $13.5 billion invested in games, and likely even more this year. The spending is insane, the demands are insane, and instead of pumping the brakes, they're just flooring it right into the wall. I mean, beyond that, whether you have the money or not doesn't really matter because it's just not worth it anymore. The quality has dropped so far that when people can't afford games, there's less of a reason to bother. Publishers have convinced themselves that going wide, making every game for everyone, stuffing in every mechanic, every identity, and every...
Oh, bro, we're about to see a major gaming crash. All these gaming companies in the stock market, you're going to see them go,
every message somehow is going to make their games more appealing when all it's done is just made their games boring, bland, and forgettable. The reason that their games aren't selling right now is simple. It's because they suck and they're overpriced. Why would I...
Yeah, I'd rather just go back and play PS2 games, which is literally what I'm doing right now on my gaming channel. Link down there in the description.
Pay $70 for Assassin's Creed Shadows when I could go pay $40 and play Black Flag? Why would I pay...
$40? I ain't paying $40 for Black Flag. What are you, fucking insane? I'll buy it on sale for like $10.
Starfield when I could fire up Fallout 3 with mods and make it look current gen. For veteran players,
make it look current gen. You make it look next gen if you want.
There is less reason than ever to buy. For younger players, it's financially impossible. And that's the exact reason why these companies are so against things like stop killing games or digital ownership, because they don't want us sticking to the games that we already have.
Yeah, that's why they want to start charging for mods that are supposed to be free. Because money, more and more money.
They want to force us into the next thing, whether it's worth it or not. But here's the problem with that strategy, especially given the financial conditions that a lot of people are in right now. When people feel pushed, they push back. So if you're going to price your customers out of the hobby, if you're going to make the games that they own.
I've been priced out for a long time. It like, not even just the actual upfront one-time price. I'm not going to pay $40, $50, $60, $70, $80 for a game that's got free-to-play mechanics in it. For a game that's just a reskin of another game that I've played a million times. And I'm not doing it. I just go back and play what I've already played, or play games that I missed that I really want to play. I still haven't beat Dishonored. Would you believe that? I still haven't beat Dishonored. I haven't played Fear 2 or 3. I haven't played the Call of Juarez games. I'm getting into it soon.
Inaccessible, well, they're just going to find another way like they always have, whether that's buying used, whether that's emulating, whether that's just pirating these games. And I don't think that's a genie that you can try to put back in the bottle. You can clap down on it as much as you want, but these folks will find
Yeah, the only way to beat piracy is have a better service than piracy.
a way to crack these games eventually, especially when they're motivated enough. And a lot of people are going to get very motivated very soon. And this is a grave that you dug for yourself. In a lot of cases, you're still digging. No wonder these guys want us to get rid of our digital privacy.
You know, it's going to be real rough for these game companies when we have an AI that's going to be like, all right, scan this game and make an exact copy of it. And the code will be completely different because they're not scanning the source code. They are scanning what the mechanics of the game are, what everything looks like, what the character does, and it's going to copy it one for one exactly perfectly. They're going to be fucked, and it's coming way sooner than you think. I give it just a few years, if that.
Wonder why. Never solutions, only stopgaps to protect themselves. That's all these guys have ever used, while also at the exact same time jacking up prices on their customers and putting so much pressure on them. And things are spinning so wildly out of control that this is one of the few times that I actually don't see a clear picture for what they could do in the future to be able to protect themselves or save themselves outside of,
like, we've been saying this, it's gonna get so bad that it's all just gonna crash and burn all at once. And that's where this leads. That's where it ends. And we keep warning them. And they're just putting the pedal to the metal, going straight into the wall. And we're just like, bro, that's just a painting. That's not a tunnel. What are you doing? There's not more on the other side. This is just a rock.
cutting their budgets insanely and also slashing the prices of their games. But we know that that's not going to happen or happen fast enough. And I'm sure a lot of these guys are probably thinking to themselves, AI is the answer. But the issue there is you're cutting the rope at both ends. People need jobs to be able to buy things. So if there's less people with jobs, there's less people buying products. And on top of that, we know that the savings that they're going to get from switching.
You're going to have to make PS2 size games, not like as in the gigabytes, but like the characters, story, the scope, just like that kind of era. We got to bring that back, but make it modern. We can't just like keep making things bigger and better than the last thing. It's unsustainable. You can't do that. You got to expand your horizons, make all kinds of different stuff.
To AI is not going to be passed down to the customer. That's
yeah, they need to cut back, cut down, release more.
not going to happen. It didn't happen when they switched from physical to digital, so why would it happen now? If you're in your 20s or younger and you're watching this channel, first I'd like to say,
okay, what makes more money? It takes 10 years to make a game and you charge $80, you charge $100 for it. Or it takes 2 years to make a game and you charge $40 for it. So in that 10 years, you made one game, 10 years. If it takes 2 years, in 10 years, you've made 5 games. 5 times 40, what's 5 times 40? It's like $200, ain't it? That's $200 you're charging instead of the 100. You're literally doubling your fucking money. Literally doubling it.
great taste. But beyond that, I try to do my best to be able to promote the trades as much as I possibly can because it helped me when I was in the lowest point of my life. I didn't think I had a future. I didn't think I had anywhere to go. And then I found my way into the construction industry, and it gave me the ability to chase a dream like this later on down the road. And I cannot recommend the trades enough. It's some of the greatest people that you can work with. It's incredibly difficult to break into. I'll give it that. There's a lot of nepotism. You got to know somebody in a lot of cases, unless you're from like smaller cities and areas. Usually those places are, looking for folks. Literally every hall that I had ever worked with was desperate for young folk. Because in most cases, they had guys that were in their late 30s, 40s, and 50s, and that's all they ever had, and they just had nobody else that was younger, and they need guys to be able to carry stuff. It's good money, it's honest money, and a lot of people over the course of time have tried to vilify it as much as they possibly can, and I'm going to be honest with you, that's because they're trying to keep you financially down. That's what it is. This is going to move fast, very fast. Millennials, while being better off than Gen Z, they're not that much better off, and they're not so much better off that they can support the entire industry as we know it today with its current costs and how much it's monetized. It's just not going to happen. And the funny thing is,
yeah, I'm not going to buy full price video games ever. I'm not ever going to, even if video games, the full price is $50 again, I'm not doing that. I still don't buy $50 games. I buy like $20 at the most, but usually I'll pay $20 for a bundle.
the more I think about it now, when I look at a lot of the games that have failed over the last couple of months or last couple of years now, any of the games that weren't aimed at us, millennials, failed badly in a lot of cases. And the reason why is because they never had another generation to be able to catch them. So if they were aiming for somebody else, they just straight up missed because those guys didn't have the money to be able to buy the games.
And also, they haven't had enough culture for them to know exactly what these younger people want. Because there is no culture. There is no culture. It's all like melded. Everybody's in their own little online communities and nobody knows about them. Nobody knows about these online communities. And that's a problem for these big companies trying to get a massive audience because they don't know what people are into.
These guys are screwed.
Yeah.
These games take too long to make. They're too expensive to make. And while these guys are flailing around trying to figure everything out,
yeah, and they got too many activists involved. They got too much activism.
Indie's just going to come in and
Nobody
steal
wants
the
to be
scene.
preached to.
In fact, they already have. Now, I want to make this clear. Younger generations not buying games is not a passing trend. This is an industry-wide survival issue, at least for the modern games industry as we know it, because Gen Z is just the start. The generations that are behind them are going to have even fewer job prospects if things keep going this way. That means that when millennials are no longer the industry's core spenders, there won't be a replacement audience with the same buying power. And I think some publishers know this, or most publishers probably do, especially since they're the ones that are also
What can they do
contributing
about
to
it? I don't think they know what to do about it. They're freaking the fuck out. They're trying to plan and plan and plan, and they don't know. They don't know what the future holds. So they're just going to have to put the pedal to the metal, make the most amount of money possible as fast as they can. Because nobody knows what tomorrow holds.
those jobs disappearing, but given their size, the cost of their games, and the way that they operate, it's almost impossible for them to avoid a crash. I mean, the answers that these guys came to were live services and subscription platforms like Game Pass, Ubisoft Plus, PlayStation Plus, and more.
Yep. Yeah, and they saw record numbers too, man. They really did. Oh, yeah, that just means that their fall is going to be even harder. They climbed even further up the ladder. And they knew the ladder was collapsing, and they were like, let's just climb to the top anyway. Let's see how far we can get.
Paper, the reasoning seems relatively solid. Make free-to-play games and offer subscription services to be able to lower the barrier of entry, but the costs of running these services do not line up with the content or the monetization that they're delivering, and I think the result of this is going to be pretty predictable. Games and services that are aggressively monetized, overpriced, and have underwhelming offerings that struggle to be able to keep people engaged. With live service games, moderate success is not going to be enough in the future, and
Yeah, this shit's like crabs in a barrel, crabs in a bucket. Like, all of them are constantly pulling each other down, climbing over each other to get to the top, but they don't realize that the crab at the top is the one that gets picked first, and they get cooked.
relying on them alone is only going to cause more issues down the line. I mean, right now, the entire model is to make the game for free and then to charge heavily for everything inside it. Cosmetics, weapons, playtime in some cases, $20 to $30, sometimes even over $100. And as costs start to rise and profit margins start to tighten, those prices are going to get pushed even higher to squeeze their players harder. And the more games that start to flood the market that are like this, the prices are going to just keep climbing to be able to justify their operating budgets. And the higher the climb, the less players are going to be willing to buy in, especially given economic conditions. So publishers are just going to start responding by making those purchases more central to the experience. Free cosmetics are going to be deliberately made to look worse than paid ones. We already see that right now. Progression is going to start to get locked behind paywalls. Items are going to come in with built-in advantages. Bit by bit, the games are going to be not about playing them anymore. It's just going to be about spending, and eventually people are just going to start walking away. I've always looked at Korean pay-to-win live service games as a microcosm, a accelerated version of where the Western AAA industry is headed. And if you take a look at a game like Lost Ark, great gameplay, the world looked really cool, and it had all the markings for a top-tier MMO, but almost every path to progression was time-gated or paywalled, or in most cases both. And while whales are going to spend big, you still need casual players to be able to keep that world feeling alive.
Yeah, and you ain't getting... I love MMOs. I used to play MMOs all the time before they had all these slimy, disgusting microtransactions and timed events, you know, where you gotta wait 12 hours before this thing gets done so that you can have a thing to wait 12 more hours for another thing to get done so you can build your little thing, build your little town or circus or whatever the fuck it is. Your car town, you gotta wait. Yeah, no thanks, fuck you. I was done. I remember that shit from Facebook. Whenever Facebook had games, no thanks, we're not going back to that. That was garbage.
Live when every single meaningful reward in a game is locked behind a price tag, no achievement is going to feel worth anything. The game just isn't fun, and eventually most players are going to hit the same wall and just say, why am I even playing this game? Now on the subscription side,
I hit that wall a long time ago. Why am I playing these games is really what it was. And I just stopped. I checked out, and now, like, I don't go past COVID times. Like, I don't go past the COVID era. I rarely go past COVID era for games. There's, like, a select few, like Baldur's Gate, Resident Evil 4, you know. So, Cyberpunk, I guess, counts. But really, it's like 2016 and before. Those are really the games that I'm after. Those are the games that I'm playing. It was like the golden age. It's like the year 2000 all the way to 2016.
The only way to be able to make that offer appealing is to run it at a loss and front load it with as much content as possible. We already know that Xbox tried this with Game Pass, spending billions on AA and indie titles, but all it did was create the illusion of
I'll even go as far to like 2019 sometimes.
content. Many of those games were just filler that nobody actually wanted to play. Sure, there were a couple of hits, but not enough to be able to justify the service, at least not for myself. And that means that they have to lean on their AAA blockbusters to be able to keep people subscribed, which in turn then cuts directly into their sales. And now even Game Pass is facing a content problem. Developers are openly saying that if your game is struggling, Game Pass is the place where you want to go. But if your game has a real sales potential, well, you want to keep it off that platform. Either way, content issues are not. The bigger problem that they're headed towards is the undeniable fact that the prices for their services are going to continue to climb and likely outpace their customers, especially for some of these younger generations. They've already gone up and their operating costs are continuing to rise, so they're going to go up again. Their only alternative is to be able to find new ways to monetize, just like their movie and TV counterparts, Netflix, Hulu, Disney. We'll see ads, tiered access, and more. They're going to pass those increases down to the customer, but the problem with that is that people will tolerate price hikes and ads and things like that if there is value there. When the quality starts to slip at the same time that the bill is getting bigger, that's when subscribers start to walk.
Yeah, they'll just go get a computer and install Linux on it. It's like, it's bare bones. You get the things that you need, nothing else. You can install some things that you want. Everything's free. There's no ads. It's perfect. You can play your games.
Doesn't matter how large the library is. If people feel like they're paying more for less, they're gone. It's like I said earlier.
Well, let's just get back to, if you want a media center, go get you a media center. If you want a game console, get you a fucking game console. And all it does is game.
The only option that they have is to offer actual value, better games, while also slashing their budgets and their prices. But a lot of these companies...
Also, I wish they would just sell games. Just sell games, that's it.
Companies think that AI is going to be the magical fix for everything, but all that's going to do is just make the underlying problem even worse. People don't have jobs or disposable income to be able to buy the games or products that they're making. So what's going to happen?
It's not going to work. AI is literally not going to save these companies.
They're just going to overcommit like they always do, just like they did with live service, just like they did with subscriptions, just like they did with every single trend that we've seen over the past couple of years.
AI is going to replace some jobs, but I think mostly it's going to eventually it's going to replace too many jobs that it's unsustainable, and you got to start hiring people again. But the people will use AI as a tool. That's where we're headed. We're going to start using AI as a tool. We're going to actually integrate with the AI and start using it like we're supposed to, instead of replacing people with it. It's not a good replacement.
The quality will slide. The audience is going to start looking elsewhere. And honestly, they already have. One of the biggest breakout trends that I've noticed over the past couple of years is the rise of indie friend slop games. Accessible, easy to play co-op titles that are made on no budget at all, that are pulling absolutely absurd numbers. Lethal Company, Content Warning, Chained Together, and more recently Repo and Peak have blown up purely through word of mouth and viral clips, hitting sales and player numbers that would make most AAA games cry. Peak sold over 5 million copies in under a month and hit 100,000 concurrent players on Steam. Repo sold 15 million copies in under 6 months and nearly reached 300,000 concurrent players on Steam. They all share two things: cooperative play and, more importantly, price. Peak was launched at $7.99. Repo was launched at $10. Both games cost less than a fast food meal and are cheap enough that you can...
These were games that me and my friends were looking for back in the Xbox One days, and that we never really got.
To buy copies for 3 of your friends and still pay less than a modern AAA title. And it's not just friend slop. Across the board, some of the most popular games dominating both sales and conversations have been from small studios or even solo developers. The common thread isn't the genre, it's the price and the quality of the experience. I said it on Twitter recently when people were complaining about how...
And it's got to be fun, and it's got to have funny moments. You got to be able... The game itself doesn't have to be funny, but you got to be able to have funny moments throughout the game.
Mafia Old Country doesn't have swimming, but I said that too many games go wide instead of deep. I don't need a game to do everything. I need a game to do a handful of things really fucking well. That's exactly what these indie titles are delivering right now.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have year-long roadmaps. They're not trying to be everything for everyone.
Yeah, because they're not really trying to make money. I mean, they want to make money off of their product, but that's not their main goal. Their main goal is to make a beautiful, amazing game that they want to make. There's passion there.
They're built for the people that they were meant for, with the sole intent of just being fun. Peak is a game about climbing and cooperative fun with your friends. It doesn't need complex mechanics or RTX ray trace shadows and reflections. It just needs to be a goofy, memorable experience that delivers on an $8 promise. And
yeah, by the way, most games used to be indie games up until the Xbox One. Like, most games were indie games. Like, we had some AAA games on the 360, but sometimes they were hit or miss. Like Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6. We had like that kind of thing happening on 360. But most of the games there were just like, throw it at the wall, see if it sticks. Like, and we got fucking amazing games. But Xbox One, it was like more refined to make as much money as possible. That's really when it started. That's when the ball started getting a rolling. Whenever we got only online games.
yeah, people like to complain about how many roguelikes and crafting games that we've seen lately, but a lot of those games have succeeded for the exact same reason. They give players exactly what they want from that style of game. Sure, they'll add their own twist or their own style or maybe their own art or their own world or whatever, but they never overreach, especially for the price. These games are cheap, focused, they deliver exactly what players are looking for, and you can't say the same about the AAA industry. With the path that they're on right now, I'm not sure that we ever will again. And that's the real problem for AAA, because they built their entire business model around chasing an audience that's already shrinking and pricing themselves out of the next one that's coming, and they're ignoring the part of the market that's actually growing right now. Well,
yeah, what happened actually, it was not that they were chasing an audience that doesn't actually exist and that's shrinking. What they were doing was trying to make as much money as possible, and they hit a wall. They hit a ceiling, more like, and the only way to open that ceiling up was to start charging everything that was in the house. Every little thing costs a little bit more money. Oh, you want to go over there and use that table? That'll be $1. Every time you want to use that table, it'll be $1. Oh, you want to use the bathroom now, do you? Oh, we have to start charging $2 for you to use the bathroom now. Every time you use the bathroom, $2.
they're busy inflating their budgets, leaning on AI, and locking themselves into decade-long development cycles. Smaller studios are eating their lunch right now with games that cost less than a fast food combo, and they're making a heck of a lot more people smile. What I think adds a lot more pressure to this situation is it doesn't just concern the video games industry. It doesn't just involve the video games industry. It's pretty much worldwide and industry-wide at this point. And as more disruptive technology is introduced, as more jobs disappear, people are just going to have fewer options outside of the folks that are already going to be retired. But it's not just going to be...
We're going to have fewer options, but I think it's going to be more refined. I think we're going to really know what kind of indie games that we want, and it's going to be really word of mouth based again, like the PS1 days. I think we're getting back to how gaming was for the PS1, where like everybody had a PS1, but nobody had the same games. That was like my first game console. That's the game console that was around whenever I was a little kid. And I remember going over to different people's houses, nobody had the same games. Sometimes they'd have one or two that was the same as one that somebody else had. For the most part, they were all different. And I think we're getting back to that. This word of mouth discoverability, where we don't really know what we're going to get. We're just going to pick up a bundle at the bargain bin, you know? See what this is. Oh, I saw some trailers about this. I'm going to pick this up. This looks neat.
Younger generations, it's going to be all generations. And I just don't see how you get around that while you're actively contributing to it and also contributing to your own decline.
Fuck. Got him. Got him. I'm going to leave it here. Like, comment, subscribe. Ring the bell for all notifications if you don't play any of the new games. Only if you play the old games. Check out my gaming channel, link down there in the description.